So we'll take a look at a couple of sample density calculation problems from sample exercise 1.4 in your textbook. I abbreviated them right here in these notes, and make sure you have a notebook and a pencil and perhaps a calculator, and you can follow along and try them as well. First one is letter B, and letter B says calculate the volume of 65 grams of liquid methanol if its density is 0.791 grams per milliliter. So here's our mass of the ethanol, and then here's our density of the ethanol. My recommendations to you is to write down the information they give you with units. Write down the information they give you with units. Then, since we know that it involves mass and density, we need the density equation. And I like to write the density equation in a triangle format, where if you cover up the variable that you don't know, you have the equation for the variable you want to know. Now they want to know the volume, so cover up V with your finger, and it equals mass divided by density. See how M is over D right here? So now you can rewrite that equation as volume equals mass divided by density. So write down the equation, V equals M over D, and now take your numbers, mass right here, with units, and write that on the top. And then take your numerical value of density with units and write that on the bottom. So now that you've got the mass divided by volume right here, you can cancel your units of grams and grams, and you have units left over of 1 over milliliters. And if you remember from math class, multiplied by the reciprocal when you have a complex fraction, this portion right here will flip over on the top, and you'll end up with units of milliliters in the end. Now you can try it in your calculator, 65 divided by 0.791, and you should end up with 82.2 milliliters. We'll talk about where to round that in the next video. For right now, just go ahead and go to 1 decimal place. That's good. Let's do a second example. Letter C says, what mass in grams of a cube of gold if the length of the cube is 2 centimeters? So calculate the mass in grams of a cube of gold, and we're told that the cube of gold has a length of 2 centimeters. Now if you know about cubes from geometry class, if the length is 2 centimeters, that means the width is 2 centimeters, and that means the height is 2 centimeters. So it's 2 by 2 by 2. And since we're probably going to look for volume in here, you can know that length times width by height, of course, gives you volume. We want to know the mass, so first of all, write down your equation and cover up M right up here, and then that would equal D times V. Some people like to put a little times sign right here in their triangle so then they remember those two are multiplied together. So mass is equal to density times volume. And then I went ahead and found my volume right away because I knew that my length, width, and height were all 2 centimeters. So I took 2 times 2 times 2, which of course is 8. And that now would be centimeters to the 3rd power because it's cubic centimeters, so centimeters cubed. So density is 19.32 grams per cubic centimeter for gold. It's right back up here on my table for densities. And then my volume, of course, is 8 cubic centimeters, so I put 8 cubic centimeters. Notice how I included my units, and then I have centimeters cubed right here, and you can write that over 1 if you're confused by it. You can actually continue this line all the way across and know that your centimeters cubed will cancel with your centimeters cubed, and my units that remain will be grams. And so if you multiply 19.32 times 8, you get approximately 155 grams. Those are a couple of example problems using density. Good luck with your density problems.